Good evening. Good evening. How have you all been? Has it been a good weekend for you? Yes? Maybe? I am so glad to be with you all this evening. And before we get started, what are we going to do? Our quotes. Yes, I've got two for you tonight. The first one says, love is made up of a strong affection and patience, while lust also is made up of strong affection and impatient. An anonymous penned that. The next one is, love begins with an image, lust with a sensation. Love begins with an image, lust with a sensation. And this was penned by Mason Cooley. Mason Cooley. You have to think about that. Begins with an image. So what are you thinking? And lust with a sensation. So, is he saying, when I see her walk by, or I see him walk by, does the Isley Brothers song jump in our head? Wanna groove with you? What I would do to groove with you? Did I just date myself? Yeah, I did. But that's the difference. I saw it, and then I imagined. So it went from my brains to another L. Your loins, right? Okay. Relaxation. Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. Remember the last time we were together, we discussed that love and lust in the early stages of a relationship, it can be difficult to tell the difference between the two, that both are associated with physical attraction, a heightened state of arousal, an intoxicating rush of endorphins, coupled with an overwhelming desire to be closer to one another. But only one is long-lasting, and that's love. There is a mix of emotions, behaviors, and beliefs associated with the strong feelings of affection, protectiveness, warmth, and respect for another person. There is a mix of emotions, behaviors, and beliefs associated with strong feelings of affection, protectiveness, warmth, and respect for another person. Now, all of this spawns the question of, what's going on? What is going on? What am I feeling? Is this lust, or am I in love? So let's just look at what it might look like if you're in love. Can we do that? Connectedness, connection. That's what I want to say, connection. The first sign that it might be love rather than lust is a connection. You want your partner to connect with all the people in your life. You're ready to share this with everyone. Anyone that is of importance, you want to share this person with them. You want to spend time together and to like each other. You want to show them off to your friends and family and you want your friends and family to be impressed with them. So it's not like wondering whether or not I'm in love or is it lust. Am I a secret? Are you ashamed to be seen out with me? And are you ashamed to take me in front of your family or your dearest friends? Are you ashamed? Is it too soon, or is it purely lust? Just lust. Not ready for any of that other stuff, just a physical connection, a sexual connection. Mm-hmm. It could be love if your language changes. Your language goes from I to us and we. Your language changes. The more you become entwined with each other, there becomes a mutuality, and your language changes from I to we, us. Self-disclosure. Self-disclosure. Love can motivate us, you or me, to reveal a lot about ourselves to the other person. We have a tendency to want to share our dreams, our fears, goals, our past, and what we're looking forward to in the future. We have a tendency to want to share our innermost thoughts and secrets. Yet, lust, we only peel away a few layers of our personalities. You might share hobbies, movies, or music preferences, but that is about it. Nothing to talk about. If you want to distinguish between lust and love, look at what you are talking about with the other person. Look at what you're disclosing to the other person. It might be love, depending on influence. What one person does or wants to do influences the other person in a meaningful and strong ways. For example, if something upsetting happens to you, a medical diagnosis, a job loss, a death in the family, well, you would go to that person for support and assistance. If something good happened to you, you want their, again, support. You want to share that good news with them. You want to feel that celebration because they too are happy for the good news that you've just. Lust is craving for sexual satisfaction that drives humans to seek out sex partners. Lust is driven by a hormonal desire for sexual gratification. One more time. Lust is craving, not just, a passing fleeting thought. It's craving for sexual satisfaction that drives humans to seek out sex partners. Lust is driven by a hormonal desire for sexual gratification. Dr. Alexandria Stockwell, a relationship and intimacy expert, said this: the most commonly understood distinction between lust and love is that lust is purely physical and sexual, whereas love includes care for someone well behind their function as a source of yearning and sexual gratification. This was important because when we talked the last time, up until a certain point in a relationship, lust and love look like the same thing. I also stated that we should not lose the lust that we had for that person when we get married, right? When we get married. So in the proper confines, lust is just fine. Just fine. It says includes, in addition to, cares for someone well behind their functions as a source of yearning and sexual gratification. So just because you get married does not mean that when he walks across the threshold or she walks across the threshold, you don't hear that song of the Isley Brothers, I want to groove with you. What I do to groove with you. Listen to the rest of the song. You'll appreciate what I'm saying. Love feels like, love feels like security, respect, and admiration, and typically includes a sense of safety, commitment with a partnership. Remember last week I gave you some of what love, the differences between love and lust. If I could go over those again before we go into what the Life book says. It says love brings relaxation and peace. Lust brings tension. Love gives. Lust takes away. Love waits. Lust is impatient. Love respects. Lust violates. Love forgives. Lust condemns. Love is unselfish. Lust is self-centered, imprisons, and destroys. Love commands and lust demands. Love is generous. Lust is greedy. Love protects. Lust endangers. Love is faithful. Lust is disloyal. Love upholds. Lust abandons. Does your relationship that you're in, does it resemble any of this? The Life book, the Bible says in Matthew 5:28. Matthew 5:28. Take a sip of your tea. Get that song out of your head. Because we all must admit that at one point in time, we've all seen something that just looks so scrumptious, and our thoughts were lustful. We must be honest with ourselves, okay? Yeah. You got it? You ready? Matthew 5:28. And I'll be reading from the Amplified Translation. It says, "But I say to you that everyone who so much as looks at a woman with lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart." It says, "But I say to you that everyone who so much as looks at a woman with lust in her heart, lust for her, has already committed adultery with her in his heart." So not just a man that looks at a woman in this manner, but a woman who looks at a man in this manner. you look at that man and you say, a tall drink of water, a whole lot of playground, and you have a tendency to want to grab your pearls, close your eyes, and for a brief moment, what you did to that person that is not your own, you committed. What does the seventh commandment say? The seventh commandment says you should not commit adultery. And you did, didn't you? Proverbs 23:7 says, for as he thinks in his heart, so is he in behavior, one who manipulates. He says to you, eat and drink, yet in his heart is not with you, but is begrudging the cost. That's a whole lot. That is a whole lot. So, if you were with him and you were out at that club and something altered your senses and you looked at him or you looked at her in that manner, and with the quickness you thought you were in lust. And if that lasted more than, it's lust, it is not love, because love is long lasting. Thank you all. Thank you all for sitting here listening to this. I know it's not something that we don't even talk about it. But our relationships are going to hell in a handbasket because, back in my singles ministry with Bethlehem in South Carolina, there's two friends, and if they're listening, they'll know who they are. We used to say that there was only three looks when he or she walked past. The first look was to acknowledge, that's nice. That next look is an appreciation. God was working it out on that day. And that third look is lust. And you just crossed over. So can you find self-control and only look twice? Yeah. So again, I say thank you for joining me tonight as we talked about love, or was it lust? Next Saturday, we're going to talk about discretion. Discretion. How is that affecting our relationships? How is that affecting us moving forward? Are we using discretion? How are we using? Or are we using discretion at all? But that's what we'll be talking about next Saturday. And I hope that you all will join me as we go further in knowing what it looks like and maybe the reason why our relationships are not what we hope them to be. So again, until next Saturday, for you, me, and T, with who? Lady D, at 5:30 Pacific, 7:30 Central, and 8:30 Eastern. And again, this will be uploaded later on to be on YouTube and Instagram. So I thank you for spending time with me, and I hope you have an amazing evening. Good night.